Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
Yeah, so like I was saying, you feel me? I come up in the trenches when it was wars, you feel me? So I ain't just none of the motherfuckers who, you know what I'm saying, just jumped off the fence and went into the game, you feel me? I was out here when Willie Lord was doing his thing, when you had OJ and them, the unknowns on Chicago Avenue doing their thing, when Ray and the C's, and you had B-Mac, the CBLs, and the foes into it. You know, I've been out here since it was all when it was war. You know what I'm saying? War was when one no women and kids getting killed, you feel me? And you had to be in it. You was either in it or you won. So, you know what I'm saying? Shakey Shawn, he a gangster, you feel me? One thing about him, man, he demanded his respect. So, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't do nothing about it.
Drug trafficking investigation involving alleged members of a Chicago street gang, the Four Quarter Hustlers.
With a stockpile of drugs and an arsenal of weapons, federal authorities say members of the Four Corner Hustlers ran at least 3 open-air drug markets in East Garfield Park, selling bags of cocaine and heroin, some laced with fentanyl, for $10 a bag.
These are drugs that are packaged and bundled in particular ways for someone to be out there on the street selling it to customer after customer after customer.
In this nearly 70-page complaint, authorities charging 10 alleged members of the Four Corner Hustlers, some with nicknames that include Peanut and D-Nice, with federal drug conspiracy. The joint federal and local investigation began in February of last year and included wiretaps, covert surveillance, and narcotics purchases by undercover officers.
We leveraged our resources and conducted a thorough investigation, which led to multiple arrests and seizures.
Investigators say in addition to drugs, they recovered several weapons, including a MAC-10 submachine gun and hundreds of rounds of ammunition, allegedly used to protect the operation.
Families and residents of all ages, from school children to senior citizens, were impacted and intimidated on a daily basis.
The charges come months after the gang's longtime leader was convicted of racketeering conspiracy in connection with multiple murders.
Starting in the 1990s, the Four Corner Hustlers body snatcher faction, led by Shawn Shaky Betts, was particularly notorious. Betts was released from prison in October of 2004 with a strict parole stipulation that he was not to return to the area controlled by his gang. That restriction was part of a controversial strategy by Chicago authorities to curb gang violence by banishing parole gang leaders from their former turfs. Betts was aware that he would be monitored for compliance with that condition, but less than 6 hours after his release, he violated his parole by leaving the state without permission, traveling briefly to Indiana. His violation was only known because he was under surveillance to ensure that he did not return to his former turf. The institution of those parole restrictions coincided with a significant decrease in homicides in Chicago. In 2004, the year the restrictions were implemented, homicides would drop by 25%. The trend would continue on to 2005, though the decrease was smaller at just a couple percentage points. While it is unclear exactly how much the parole restrictions alone would contribute to the homicide reduction, but they were a part of broader anti-gang initiatives that would increase police knowledge of gang leaders' activities and suppress the violence associated with parole gang leaders' attempt to reassess their power. After being released from prison again in April of 2006, Shakey Shawn would attempt again to regain control over his gang's territories, leading to a significant increase in homicides and violence in the areas controlled by the Four Corner Hustlers.
Oh yeah, you know, I know Shaky Shawn, you know, it's crazy, man. You know, I know Shaky Shawn, you know, that's when I was in the trenches. You know, I don't know him, I never met him, but I know him from us being in tour with him, you know, it was foes and foes, because, you know, he came out saying he was the prince. You know, I was young, but we was 40 foes, so, you know what I'm saying, it was us against them.
And for the people that don't, for the people that don't know, and that's not in the city, you always talk about Gordy and Gordy foes. Explain that. Explain who Gordy was.
Man, you know, Gordy was our chief. You feel me? May he rest in peace. You feel me? I'ma always respect him, but at the same token, he was our chief. We was from out Pulaski, so we was Pulaski and Lexington, Pope, all through there. You know, headquarters, you know, that was our home. And, you know, he was the chief over us. And, you know, you had the body snatcher foes, which is shaking them. And the war got big because, you know, Gordy won honor and Shaky Shawn, so that made us not honor Shaky Shawn. So, you know, it was a big war with me and Shaky Shawn now.
Oh.
You know, he had this dude named Ray Washington, rest in peace. You know, it was Ray, him, and Big T. So, you know, they was Shaky, really people out here taking care of business for the body snatching folks.
And how far apart was y'all?
Man, we was apart. You know, it was either us or them. You feel me?
As far as
either us or them.
And I'm talking about his distance. You talked about where you was from, but as far as in the city, how far in distance where they was from, or was y'all in the same neighborhood?
No, you know, our west is small, so we was all Pulaski, and Shaky Shawn had like our west, Laramie, Central, but he really from off the Village. You know, he had the Village and Augusta and all through there. You know, that was his headquarters, Pine and Hatton.
So y'all was at it because even though y'all was all foes, y'all was not under him, even though he was considered the chief.
He was saying he was the pig. No, we was up under Gordy. You know, he had Burpee and Lil Kente them, you feel me? So it was his people against us. Well, the shit took off to the jails. You know, Shaky had the jails on lock. So, you know, when Gordy foes go through the jail, we was automatically on blast with the Shaky Shawn foes. So, man, I'm talking about it was big. But, you know, as you grow and learn, the man Shaky Shawn, you know, he a gangster.
This call will be terminated in 2 minutes.
You know,
You say as you grow and learn. You say as you grow and learn.
You know, that's when I met Ray. You feel me? At first, me and Ray wasn't seeing eye to eye. Big T, he from out there in Harvey, but you know, they was Shaky Shawn foes, Big T now, but he had Burpee now. You know, me and Burpee cool now, but back then in the 90s, 97, 98, 99, it wasn't no such thing as being cool, but you know, Shaky Shawn, you know, he a gangster, but at the same time, Gordy was our chief, and you know, wherever he was at, we was at.
So that kind of explains some of the foes on foes violence in the city.
Oh yeah, it was a big foe on foe because you know Shaky, he was the man in his respect. So you know you had a lot of foes. I call them 3.5 foes who was scared, so they was up on the Shaky. You know, Shaky slide on that.
This call will be terminated in 1 minute.
Shaky, how his people slide on them, they fold. So you know what I'm saying? It was like, man, we was into it with all the foes on the west side, really. You know, it was only certain foes that weren't really respecting them, the Joy Darby foes. So, you know, we was with the Darby foes. You know what I'm saying? So we was with Joy Darby and we was with Gordy. So, you know, it was us against, goddammit, any foe that was moving because all along was on the Shaky.
Following the arrest of Westside gang leader Ray Longstreet in 2004, Shaky Shawn Betts and William Burpee Thomas emerged as rivals competing for control of Longstreet's drug empire. Shaky's faction, the Body Snatchers, were linked to numerous violent crimes, including shootings, murders, and arsons. In order to mitigate the potential violence, Chicago police conducted several enforcement operations against the Four Corner Hustlers, resulting in multiple arrests. In July of 2004, police will conduct a preemptive sweep of Burpee Thomas's $10,000 a day heroin operation in North Austin. Thomas was subsequently arrested after a search of his residence uncovered heroin and ammunition. But despite law enforcement's increased efforts, Shaky was still doing what he was doing. And in May of 2008, he would be arrested at his St. Charles apartment for felony marijuana charges, being one of 55 people arrested following an 18-month investigation. The operation, dubbed Capitol Hill, would involve 2,200 intercepted phone calls and more than 100 undercover drug buys. Now, I'm not sure if he was charged or how much time he actually served for that arrest, but Shaky Shawn, who the authorities say is the sole Four Corner Hustler member holding the rank of Prince, would still be in the game a decade later, and then between late November into March 2019, authorities would catch him on the wire conversating with a trusted high-ranking 5-star elite member of the Four Corner Hustlers. But unbeknownst to Shakey Shawn, his associate would flip and become a confidential informant for the feds, and he was under constant physical and electronic surveillance as he would execute heroin drug deals with Shakey Shawn. Those deals would lead to a 68-page complaint that would be unsealed on May 30th, 2019, explaining 8 transactions, with 7 of those deals going down in the West Side Austin neighborhood, totaling about 136 grams, or 5 ounces. On the wire, Shakey Shawn, sensing how much time he had left in the streets, the 52-year-old at the time would be recorded saying, "I know I ain't gonna be around forever. You dig what I'm saying?" Luckily, he would avoid any charges for the murders that the gang was said to have committed, and he would end up being sentenced to 10 years in prison with 8 years of supervised release. And I could be wrong, but looking at his record, I would say he could consider himself lucky with the feds playing on a point system and how many previous convictions it sounds like he had already. But Shakey Shawn Betts is going to represent one of the last OGs that truly saw the bloodshed of the 1990s and the 2000s. Now, y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we missed, what we got wrong, all of that. Y'all tapping with me directly on Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until the next play, you know how we rocking. Shay's Popalot. Salute the almighty MOBB.